welcome to another Heart to Hearties. We're the official fan after show for When Calls the Heart, and we bring your questions to the cast and crew. I'm Jeanette from Michigan.
I'm Marg from San Diego.
And I'm Erin from Los Angeles.
Yay! Welcome.
Yay!
I wanted to give you your big build-up, so we were riveted by her performance this week. Coming off that emotional episode, bravo to you. Beautiful
Wow.
work. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, the actress Erin Krakow, who plays Elizabeth Thornton. Welcome one more time.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Stop.
Oh, we're supposed to keep going.
Would you?
So how are you? How have you been? How have you enjoyed seeing, finally getting this season out to the fans and seeing fans' reactions? How's that going for you?
I feel like that was several questions, Jeanette. So I'll start with how I'm doing. I'm great. Thank you very much. Hiatus is always fun and rejuvenating and yeah, doing really well. And as far as how it's felt getting season 12 out to the viewers, it's so gratifying. We work so hard and so long on the season, and we have all sorts of feelings and opinions on it, and it's just really exciting to finally get to share it with the fans who are so passionate about all the characters and stories and hear their feedback. And yeah, it's really been an exciting time, especially as it applies to the most recent episode. There have been some really profound, moving responses to it.
Yeah, lots of Hearties are relating to the struggles that little Jack is going through in his family. So yeah, it's been special. Well, we got almost 100 questions for you, Erin. So we're going to go through all 100 right now. So just we won't do that.
Rapid fire. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to talk quick.
Exactly. Well, we definitely want to dive in, though. We won't do all 100, we promise.
Okay.
Laura Dreisen of Emporia, Kansas says she loves watching you bring Elizabeth to life. She wants to know, in season 12, do you have a favorite scene? Which did you most enjoy filming?
Oh, Laura. This is so hard. I feel like notoriously terrible at answering questions that are phrased like, what is your favorite fill in the blank? Because I just start to question myself. Well, what about that scene? What about that scene? I have so many favorites, and I just don't know how to answer that. They're all my favorites. I so enjoy the fun hijinks, the comedic moments with Rosemary, as well as our, more emotional sisterly late night chats. I love getting to explore the depth of the growing relationship with Nathan. I think there are so many heartwarming, tender moments with the children in Elizabeth's class, as well as little Jack, especially this season. He's really knocked it out of the park. I will say, I think that Allie and Elizabeth have entered a really special new chapter in their relationship. And so maybe I'll say one of my favorite scenes this season has been with Jaeda. I just really like those moments of connection with her. If it's the one in the schoolhouse early in the season where they kind of connect over the fact that Elizabeth and Nathan are getting together, or if it's the moment on Elizabeth's porch where they discuss Allie calling Elizabeth Elizabeth. There've just been some really lovely, touching moments between them, and that's been very meaningful to me.
And what a joy for you to see her grow as an actor, stretch her wings even more this season. Just amazing. And I think we're talking about her a little bit more down the road.
Okay, all right, then I'll hold off on gushing. I'll save my Jaeda chat for later.
There's more gushing to come, but I think it sounds like you're similar to the writers. It's hard it's like picking between your babies,
Yes.
You put so much into these scenes that choosing between them must be very hard. Kevin picked the DeMarco party, of course.
Oh, how can
Yeah.
I forget?
Yes.
It was so
But I
fun.
think his was much more from a technical standpoint. He just loved, yeah. So in addition to singing, so
Yes, that was very exciting. I mean, we were so lucky to get Kristen to come in and direct that block, and she was such a great fit for that party and really brought a lot of creative ideas to how we'd be shooting it. And it sounds like Kevin spoke on this already, so
he
I
did.
won't go on, but
But
yeah, I was so impressed.
yeah, amazing. So early in the season, as you were talking about, we've had some really beautiful classroom scenes. And this whole project-based learning thing, of course, was brought out every Hardy that's a teacher because they just loved this storyline. So Leah Hardwick of St. Charles, Missouri is a preschool teacher, and she wonders, what was your favorite teaching moment this season?
Another favorite question.
Another favorite.
No, we're really hitting you hard.
I'm so bad at this. I mean, getting to
The-
explore the outdoors with them was um it was not a nice day when we shot that portion of the story, unfortunately, but we managed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's coming to mind. There, gosh, thinking about this is not a true classroom moment, but the scene in the library where Elizabeth connects with Angela. Vienna is just so natural and grounded, and I mean, she's really easy to work with. She always comes prepared, and she just brought so much vulnerability and truth and depth to that, well, to her character in general, but to that scene in particular. I just felt like it was so it was so meaningful, and I think it was a moment where we all had to kind of pause and go, uh she's she needs some help here because she's experiencing something that none of us can really relate to in the way that she's experiencing it. And what can we do? How can we help? And so seeing that connection between Elizabeth and Angela was really special. Anyway, there's so many, but that's
That was a beautiful storyline in general. So, and seeing the development of all of these young people. I mean, I think that'll be a particular favorite of all the Hardys this season, is so much time spent with the teens and these kids that we have seen grow up on this show. And in particular, having talked to Viv and Elias, it's just cool to think back, reflect on those first moments that you had with him, and look at him now leading a whole ensemble cast in that baseball scene. I mean, it's just like, it's pretty incredible for all of those young adults now. Um, it's very special, the relationship that you have with them, and how they've grown. So,
Well, and Emily, who's been there since day one with you, like Grayson
oh,
playing
good.
Emily.
I know.
Oh, special.
No, it's like, I have become so attached to all of them, and they mean so much to me. And seeing the way that they've all spread their wings and really become these exciting young adults in the world, and learning about their other interests, and just I'm really so proud of all of them. And I'm glad that I got to be a part of their journey.
As you referenced, the changing dynamic with Allie and Elizabeth was really a very sweet and tender story this season. What was your most memorable moment with Jaeda, either on or off set?
uh On or off set? Well, on set, it might be we were filming the scene on the porch that I was speaking of, and it was night. It was a very quiet, tender scene. Did she already tell you about this?
I think she did.
She
Jada.
said you brought her a shawl, I recall,
Yes,
because it really was cold.
it was cold.
Mhm.
Anyway, and all of a sudden we're like midway through the scene and we hear, "Move, go, 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 move, move, move." She told you this?
He
Yeah,
did, but it's
yeah.
amazing.
But we need to hear your side because she said you went into the house and they
Yeah.
were concerned about a fire in the house. So you went towards the
Nobody told me what the problem was. I thought there was a bear or a murderer or I don't know. All of a sudden I just hear go, go, go. And I probably should have protected Jaeda, but in the moment I was like, every man for themselves. And so Jaeda bolted toward the crew and I ran inside my row house where I felt safe and warm. And, it turns out that one of the lamps hanging off the row house, the flame was just getting too big and they were worried that, a fire could really start and spread. So that was maybe the most memorable.
Gotta do it. Yes.
Yeah. And then what was the question? Most memorable moment on screen and
On
off?
or off set with Jaeda.
That comes to mind, but also just her like she's I always have my phone around to try to capture behind the scenes goodies, and she just for whatever reason can feel it. Like she always knows when I'm coming at her to take a photo, even if it's a group shot, I'll be thumbing through them later and I see everybody's candid and Jada's just like looking right at the lens. She's very aware.
Wow. It's a gift.
It's a gift.
Gift. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have this budding romance, maybe with Oliver and Allie, something Hearties have just absolutely loved. Jaeda is poised for so much success, and she's talked about her desire to be someday a leading lady on Hallmark. We wonder if she's ever talked to you about that or come to you for advice and what you might have shared.
No, she hasn't. Although I would love to work with her on a project with her as the leading lady. Um, I I don't think Jaeda has come to me for much, if any, advice because she doesn't really need it. I mean, she's wise beyond her years. She's so naturally talented, but um that doesn't mean that she doesn't work her tush off because I know she does. She puts so much time and energy and effort into preparation and research and she reads and reads and she she has the instincts, but she continues to work very hard. Um she's such a bright young person and she's really got a good head on her shoulders and I feel like anything that she chooses to do, she's going to succeed. And not only that, but she approaches it all with the most welcoming, inclusive, kind heart. You know, she she's like the Energizer Bunny. She has so much energy at all times, but everybody, it runs out for everyone and you need to kind of have a moment of peace or quiet or whatever. Jaeda, every moment of downtime that she has, it's like she's creating an opportunity for connection. If it's bringing a game to set and playing with Hyland or Chloe and keeping them kind of entertained between setups, or if she's chatting with Jacob to make him feel welcome and included in our group, or goofing around with Kevin, she's just a bright light on set, and I don't I don't really think she needs my advice in order to really soar in this life. She's just kind of got it all going for her already.
It sounds like she also has terrific parents who
Yes.
I know work closely with her on her lines and her performance. And so that helps too when you have these. It's a good thing to give a shout out to all these families because these solid kids have a lot of amazing parents who have shepherded them through these years on When Calls the Heart. It's neat to think about. So.
That's really true. And many of those families have been present with us over the years. The parents at a certain point, they have to be there with their children or some form of guardians. And you can see how much One Calls the Heart means to the families. And they all celebrate it and work on it together.
Beautiful.
when you just described her like that, she may not come to you for advice, but you are modeling everything that you just said. Like you, from all the conversations that we hear with the cast, the way you just described her sounded like what people say about you,
you.
like the way you lead with kindness on set. So it feels like what you do with the entire cast, she sort of leads in that same way with the rest of the kids. And we've seen it at HFRs too. Like,
So
um,
nice.
yeah, it's almost like she's a mini, she's picked up on with the way you lead with kindness and she models that. So really cool.
That is a lovely compliment. Thank you. That's really nice to hear.
Well, pivoting into some of the fun we've had this season, that you have had so much, you touched on the comedy, so many great comedic moments. To this day, the beekeeper scene still gets me, and I will rewatch it over and over again. It's so funny. And specifically, Rosemary and Elizabeth have had some great scenes. We got to give you a quick list because they're just too funny. We have to reminisce about them.
Great.
You had the radio show, the showdown with the superintendent, the great looks you were giving each other, the play auditions,
Uh-huh.
the balcony quest and the balcony, the trunk
Yes.
mystery there. Hysterical. Okay, so for the two of you, you've worked together so long now. With Pascale, do you feel like is she still capable of surprising you, or can you pretty much like read her like a book after all these years? Do you know what to expect?
I know to expect fun surprises from her. So, you know, it is such a joy to get to play the straight man in that duo. Really, all I have to do is respond to what she's bringing in the moment. And, that's even the case in real life. When Pascal is telling me a story, I can just zip it and listen, and I go along for the ride. But, we, I'm not quite sure how to answer this actually. We work so well together, and we have been doing it for so long, and there's so much trust that we're able to share ideas with each other. Oh, wouldn't it be fun if you did this or added this or but really all I have to do is be present and respond to what she's giving. If it's one of her, grand gestures that she does, or a sound she makes, or I don't know. It's the Rosemary show, and I'm just here to support it.
I have to wonder, like, when the two of you do ADR, if because you're in the moment, so you don't really see all your facial expressions or reactions to each other. I have
Right.
to think you crack each other up when you go to ADR and see the final the final shots of those looks.
Yes. Yeah, it's fun to see the choices that the editor makes to kind of make it all work together. And there are always some fun surprises in there. Gosh, she's so funny. She's such a hoot. We're so lucky that, you know, Pascal is who she is and that she brings what she does to Rosemary. It's not an easy character, and it requires so much energy at all times. And
Yeah.
I don't think people realize just how much goes into that. Pascal kind of makes it look easy. She's been doing this for so many years. She's a total pro, but there's a lot of energy and specificity and, dramatics that goes into creating a role like that. And you can see how beautifully she handles those kind of very silly comedic stories, as well as the ones that are really grounded and like the way she helped Elizabeth through writing that letter last episode. It's just, yeah, she's incredibly talented and capable.
She
Yeah, the
really
two of you.
discounts how much energy it takes, and yet, just the rapidity with which Rosemary speaks, and just that alone, it makes my brain tired to think about, because she gets these, you know very difficult to say, phrasings and things, and it's very specific, and there's always the exaggerated, gestures and drama, and it's a lot. So yeah, I'm there for all of it. I can't get enough But it does seem like it would take a lot of energy. Yeah.
It's just so much fun to play with her, and she's game for anything that comes up in the moment. You know, there are things that surprise both of us, and it's fun that I know we'll both roll with it. Like in the we're calling it the beekeeper scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Moments like looking over and discovering she has half a branch coming out of the side of her head and kind of pulling that out. There are all sorts of things like that that happen that are fun surprises for both of us. And it's always exciting when things like that come up.
That's true. Well, the two of you have been one of the highlights of the season for sure. So circling back a little bit to what we just talked about, I love this question from Crystal Farmer of Corbin, Kentucky. Of course, she's heard in interviews all season from the cast about how warm, welcoming, and kind you are on set to everybody, no matter how large or small their part. She wonders, was there a moment in your career that you were met with that kind of kindness, and if that inspired you to be that way, lead with kindness, or is there someone that you recall that served that role in welcoming you, like even when this all first started on Wing Calls?
Um, yes, it wasn't just one person, but I have been really lucky over the course of my career to work on projects and with people who do lead with kindness and who make people feel included regardless of the size of their role. Um, and I've seen the opposite as well.
Yeah.
But I see the difference that it makes and how when you make people feel valued and important and included, they can really bring their best selves to whatever they're doing. And that's, while cameras are rolling or when they're not. I think it's really important, and that is really maybe the most important thing to me is that when people think about their experience on One Calls the Heart, they think of it as being a welcoming and kind set. So yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about like my experience on Army Wives. I was on that show recurring for several years, and I just thought it was such a beautiful family that they created together, cast and crew, uh, and they really made me feel welcome. Uh, despite being just a visitor to their set. And yeah, there have been multiple, I think about like I was a guest star on Castle for a day, and the way they welcomed me and made me feel like an important part of their storytelling, it just goes such a long way. Or, NCISLA, actually, that's another situation where I really felt truly welcomed. I was in a scene with Eric and Daniela and Mercedes, I want to say.
Mhm.
And they were all just so kind and silly with me. Everyone was very down to earth. And yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, so sorry, I'm rambling, but the point is, I've had many experiences like that. It's been very meaningful to me. And so I'm glad that, and very flattered that I've gained that reputation on our set as well.
Yeah,
I think go ahead.
Melissa Gilbert talked a little bit about, in her long career, she's like, I've experienced both. And that was one of her points about coming to Hope Valley, was that it reminded her of her Little House family. And so
Oh.
very similar vibes. And she noticed it right away as well. So speaks volumes. Yeah. Well, we're still picking our jaws up off the floor from the romance this season. We got to talk about the romance.
Okay.
We had that gorgeous scene with you and Nathan, one of the highlights of the season, on the horse in the field. So beautiful.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Marianne Klein of Jefferson City, Missouri says, seeing you ride side saddle was super impressive. And she wants to know, was this a skill that you had already been developing, or did it take some extra practice? There was lots of talk about the side saddle in that scene.
Well, it's not something that I've been working on. I'm not like, oh gosh, I hope I get to ride side saddle this season. But you know, we're insured. We have insurance on our production and on certain cast members, and so there are concerns, and you
Yeah.
have to make sure that insurance is going to feel comfortable with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of talk about how we were going to manage the physicality. Is it one horse? Is it two? Is it, you know, we're both facing one direction? Is it side saddle? Is it we're facing each other? There was a lot of discussion about this. And I think Kevin and I we're looking for ways that we can make this relationship feel unique and different from Elizabeth's previous relationships. And we'd seen Elizabeth on a horse with Jack Sr. We'd seen her sitting in front, and we'd seen her sitting behind him. And we'd also seen the scene where Elizabeth and Lucas are racing each other on separate horses. And so this felt like a really good opportunity to kind of show a softness and an intimacy riding side saddle, and not just side saddle, but bareback. We had just like a blanket on the horse.
Oh,
Wow.
right. Yeah, that's
I
a
didn't
whole
even
other
think about
layer.
that. Yes, of course.
So I was kind of gripping the horse's mane as gently as possible. And I think I had another hand on Kevin to just kind of steady myself. But no, we just went around the corral a couple times to make sure it felt comfortable. And then off we went. And really the only the thing that was a little concerning was the earth was uneven. And so we had to just be mindful of dips and things like that. But it was manageable.
Well, Newton is a very large horse too. I mean,
You know.
you got to feel like you're way up there when you're riding.
Seriously.
Yes, true. You talk like someone who's ridden Newton.
Well, no, but seen him in person, and
Yeah,
yeah, he's a impressive horse, that's for
yeah.
sure.
He's a
Yeah.
big boy.
Did you just love all the cinematic qualities of this season? I mean, it's been really the hallmark for all of us all season long, is just how elevated those moments feel to us.
We just have the greatest director of photography, Andrew, and he just makes everything beautiful, he and his team. And we've also had some incredible directors this season who've brought some real vision and creative shots to life. Um, yeah, you know, while we're talking about this side saddle moment, that was a day where we were just we were we had the Hope Valley magic on our sides. We had this incredible sunset, and you can't you can't fake that. I mean, I guess you could go in and post and kind of, you know, do some visual effects to paint the sky, but it was just there for us. And we had this great crane shot, and I think it was just one of these moments where it really um, made the crew excited to be working on this piece. And there have been a lot of shots this season that have done that for our crew, where everybody is excited to be doing something different in that way.
A first in 12 seasons, Elizabeth gets sick.
Yeah.
And Nikki Pavic of Brooklyn, Ontario, was one of many Hearties who loved that nasal voice, and, you know, almost as much as we enjoyed the cough syrup fueled loss of inhibition. Talk to us about pulling off all of your sick scenes. Do they teach that in acting school, the art of the stuffy nose, or where did you get that?
Yes, they taught me that at Juilliard. I mean, listen, I can't discredit the voice and speech education I had at that school. They're incredible teachers, but I can't say there was a lesson plan on you know, what to do if you're cast as someone with a cold. No, I think I actually I think I came to Martin Wood and kind of said, this is what I'm thinking. And I don't know, I hope he's okay with me sharing this. He was sort of like, and what if we didn't do that? I didn't didn't exactly phrase it that way, but I think he was more like, oh my God, are we gonna be listening to that voice out of Elizabeth for an entire episode? I'm not sure if we really want that. And so we kind of played with various levels of that plugged up voice. But it was really, you know what? It was fun to do. I think people have asked me over the years, do you get bored playing the same character for all these seasons? And the answer is no, because there's always something new to dig into. And Elizabeth having a cold was one of them. It was just seeing her in a different light.
Yeah, it's shocking that we've never seen her. Not to mention having that cough syrup. Yeah, we've seen Bill have that cough syrup, but we'd never seen Elizabeth, have a moment like that. That was incredible. Mhm.
Well, and
So
there's
much
even a
fun.
line. Don't you even say a line? I never get sick or something. To me,
Oh,
that kind of
totally.
played
Big
into, yeah,
emphasis.
so
Yeah.
good. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we were also shocked to find out what's in the cough syrup from that time period. Did you Google that before you took?
It's pretty naughty, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty,
It's
pretty
opium.
heavy
Yeah.
duty. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, we don't need to focus on that too much.
No, indeed, no. No, it is Hallmark. And but we
We
just
had a
thought
good,
we
we
had a
had some
good
laughs.
chuckle when we looked up what was in cough medicine. It's like,
I'm
okay, wow. Um, so we've just, of course, enjoyed every swoon-worthy moment, all the tender little things between Elizabeth and Nathan. And we're wondering, do you have, as you're trying to distinguish it, of course, from other relationships that Elizabeth's had, do you have any favorite archetypes of romance, whether it be literary or in the movies or anything? And do you think that Nathan and Elizabeth kind of resemble them in any way? Are you
Oh,
a Pride and Prejudice fan, or I don't know
sure.
what? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, who isn't? Uh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, my favorite um could be my favorite movie ever, but I love While You Were Sleeping. And I think that there are some moments where Kevin gives a bit of a Bill Pullman vibe in While You Were Sleeping.
See that?
Ah,
I'm
See
not sure
that.
how to answer that really. I don't think that we're actively thinking, ooh, let's do this moment like Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy. I think it's just
yeah.
kind of like we're bringing our own thing to it and trying to make it feel genuine and loving and sometimes passionate, and it's just Elizabeth and Nathan, or Nathan and Elizabeth, depending on who you prioritize.
By no means romantic, but Joy Gregory enjoyed that she was able to bring the full Bronte moment with your running out of the row house with that, with the wind whipping around you and your crisis face and yelling at the heavens. And she loved that. I thought that was funny. Yeah. So you had your
Well,
Bronte moment.
I'm going to put that on my resume under special skills. Crisis face. I can bring crisis face. Yeah, Joy, obviously, I mean, she gave us something really special to play on the page there, and Peter just rose to the challenge. He was like, let's really get the wind whipping, and uh it's impactful for sure.
I do appreciate that. I feel like each relationship does stand on its own. I feel like they are very different. They
Mm.
each have their special moments. Um, yeah, I've just always appreciated that it's never like cut and paste. I mean, they
Yes,
all have different. Does it feel that way to you as far as the different relationships?
it absolutely does, and it's
Yeah.
something that happens naturally because Elizabeth, if I may, is going to have a different chemistry with each person, just
Right.
naturally. But it is something that we think about as well. How do we make these dynamics feel unique and special?
Mhm.
So I'm glad that it feels that way.
Mhm. It does.
Yeah, and I'm also loving how the potential of Lucas and Edie is coming forward and how different that feels.
Yeah. Very.
That
Yeah.
is very exciting, very exciting. But then you also have that gorgeous blend of, the Jack Senior story and the Nathan story and how he's coming into his own and, honoring Jack's memory, but also addressing the questions and the whole medal. I mean, it was just really well done. So beautiful. Um, so we imagine as a producer, you probably had an idea pretty early on about the diabetes diagnosis. And so Carrie Bridges of Morganton, North Carolina, and Tina Fagley of Mesa, Arizona, both wondered like what your reaction was to it at the start as you began talking through it.
Um, Heartbreaking, exciting to be a part of a story that feels relatable and meaningful and dramatic, and exciting to get to dive into the history of insulin. And um I also think nice for Elizabeth to have something like that, for me as an actor to have something like that to work on. We've seen her um confronted with some real tragedy in her life, and what this brings up in her was really interesting to me as an actor. And also, Hyland is 6 years old, and getting to see what he has brought to this story, how prepared he is, the way he was able to just like make his body go limp, um, the way he maintains focus in some really serious scenes. You know, look, I've been there where I break and end up giggling, and uh not Hyland. He's a little pro.
I wondered about that, and maybe this is more of a writer question, but when that storyline comes and you want Hyland to do it, is there kind of a conversation with the family and with him, like if or as a team to make that decision? Like, is he ready for this level of a storyline? Or maybe that's too insider baseball, but
Oh, that's okay. I will. I mean, obviously, I have a relationship with Hyland's family, and so if I see something come up, or if I'm hearing something being talked about, a potential story, I'll just shoot his mom a text and I'll say, you might want to start thinking about this or working on this. This is something that could be coming up. And it just gives him as much lead time as possible. But I think he's really taken a strong interest in the work we're doing on set, and
Mm.
he likes coming to work. And um, so I think because he's excited about it and enjoys it, it's something that he's happy to work on. Um, and he just did such a good job.
he really did. At such a young age, that's so
Yes.
impressive. Yeah. Wow. Well, speaking of the emotion of this episode, in this, if the scene of you running out of the house didn't break us, the scene with Rosemary at the table playing I Remember definitely did. So can you talk about us? Oh, you also had the scene with when you called when you wanted to speak to the University of Toronto people. That was beautifully done.
Thank you.
Everything about the writing was just beautiful, the way they conveyed the emotion, and then your performance. Can you talk to us about those emotional scenes in episode 11 and how that felt for you?
Well, you're absolutely right. It's there on the page, and that is, I mean, probably more than half the battle. It's just, I've been given so many gifts over the years by our writers, and um, I think sometimes the scenes surprise me. Uh, I, as we were filming this block, because we shoot 2 episodes at a time, I I wanted to make sure that episode 11 didn't turn into just like an episode where Elizabeth is crying in every scene, because then it really starts to lose its impact. Not that I view it as a manipulation of our audience, but I think there have to be moments of, you want it to reflect the reality. So there are scenes where she's more numb, there are scenes where she's angry, there are scenes where she's maybe she's still processing or in denial, or there are the scenes where we get to see her really break. And uh, the emotions that came about in the scene at the table where Elizabeth and Rosemary are writing the I remember letter. That was an example of just being able to be present and grounded with Pascale and kind of see what comes up. And I think with Pascale especially, she's just such a safe space in my life on screen and off that it's easy to go there. And obviously the topic is just heartbreaking. And we had little Hyland asleep on the couch right there. And it's just when I said, oh, I'm gonna butcher the line now. We shot this a minute ago, but when I said what I said about the weight of his body on my chest, I was thinking about the Taylor twins and singing Silent Night to them as, you know, I think one of them actually was asleep on my chest. Or like there have just been so many moments over the years getting to tell this story of motherhood that made it really genuine and easy to access those emotions because though I'm not a mother myself in real life, I've had this incredible opportunity to play one for so many seasons, and the connection that I've made with these with, you know, between Elizabeth and little Jack is really
Hmm.
significant.
Yeah, the face and the hands moments were just very powerful, and I can't think of many times when Elizabeth did that. So yeah, those really got us. You got us there.
Sorry.
That's powerful performances. We're here for
Very,
it.
very
Even
beautiful.
even through the tears. So Sophia Pappas of Sydney, Australia is concerned, like many Hearties, about little Jack's health issue, and that she's concerned that it might force Elizabeth to leave teaching to take care of him. In Sunday's preview, we did get a little hint of where Elizabeth is struggling with the idea of leaving to go to do the education seminar. So talk to us about that. Should we be worried about our girl and her little man?
She's a mama bear, and so she's gonna want to prioritize her child, and what that means for Elizabeth's career, we'll just have to see. But I can say that we see a graduation of sorts in the upcoming episode, and so maybe that'll give Elizabeth a little bit of time to figure out what her next steps are.
Tune in, Sophia. It's
Wow,
interesting.
yeah. Hearties are a little nervous going into this season finale. There's a lot of speculation on the interwebs.
Okay.
I think some are reading that word confused that was in the last moments of episode 11 where she says, you know, it was the worst day, the best day of my life, and it was like a very confusing day. They're worried that that means there's something amiss in her relationship with Nathan, while on the other hand, we've never seen them have a stronger bond. So, what should we expect with this season finale?
Ooh, I'm not sure I can tell you what you can expect in the season finale, but I think I can say I can absolutely see why a viewer might have been confused by the word confused in that moment. I think it was meant to acknowledge that though there was a great relief in little Jack's miraculous recovery, Elizabeth is still overwhelmed by what this means for the rest of their lives. And it isn't, excuse me, it isn't necessarily confusion within her relationship. I don't think it's romantic confusion because clearly Nathan has been an absolute rock for her. Um, it's more confusion over what does this mean now? Like, great news that little Jack is doing so well and that insulin exists, but it feels like life is about to change in a major way. And I guess that's my tease for the season finale is that life does change in a major way.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to say that you haven't covered about this beautiful season? It was really a mix of things from very comedic, all the radio stuff, and then really ushering in the 20s and the Charleston and, to this very impactful and important story that you've gotten to tell later on. Is there anything as you reflect on it anything else you want to say?
Not necessarily comments on the creative, but as always, I just want to say thank you, a truly heartfelt thank you to our viewers, to the Hearties for tuning in every week, for all of your support, for sharing your thoughts and opinions. We really like the positive ones.
As
Um,
do we. We do too.
yes, but really, really sticking with us. It is so incredible. It is absolutely unique that we are talking about a show celebrating its 12th season. And, you know, I sure hope that we're back having another conversation in a season 13. Um, but really, it is all thanks to the Hardys who continue to watch, and just know that as long as you're watching us, we will keep pouring our entire hearts into making One Calls the Heart the special show that it is. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you, because you do pour your heart into every aspect of the show. We've heard it from everyone we've talked to this season, and it's really so evident in every moment. And then we just love that you spent some time with us. So thank you so much.
It is always a pleasure. Thank you to the fans for submitting such interesting questions. I hope I did them justice, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
We're going to try to skip those favorite questions next time, but I think you did a great job. I love that you have a difficulty sorting through them, because
Yes.
I think
It's
that's
all so good.
beautiful.
It's all
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, we are just grateful to you too, Hearties. We loved hearing from you about episode 11. We can't wait to hear what you're going to have to say about the season finale. So promise you'll leave more comments below. Join us Sunday, Hallmark Channel, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central, and on X with the hashtag Hearties. Erin, you'll be there?
I'll be there.
Okay, awesome. And we are bringing you Heart to Hearties nearly every day this week. We have more continuing. We're going to talk to Andrew Coppin, our director of photography. We have much more coming. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Heart to Hearties.